Amanda, French film starring Vincent Lacoste, Isor Moultrier, and Stacy Martin. It had a weird release history. It premiered at Venice last August 2018. Then it was released more widely in cinemas in France in autumn 2018. And now, after all those months, it seems to be coming out in other countries as well. And now it has come out in Poland. So the story is that at the beginning we are introduced to the main character named David, who is a student living in Paris. He also works part time for a guy that rents out apartments. And through the job, he meets a lovely young girl named Lena, and immediately there's chemistry between them, and we know that this is going somewhere. But what's more important is that David also has a sister, an older sister. Her name is Sandrine, and she is a lone mother. She is raising a 7-year-old daughter named Amanda. And we are shown how the relationship between the siblings, as well as the mother and daughter, is quite close and rather good. And they all do have the occasional quarrel, but overall, it's clear that they all love each other very, very much. So we're in this state of blissful, stressless existence for the entirety of first act, which is about 20-30 minutes. And then a tragedy strikes. I won't tell the exact nature of the event that happens, but Sandrine dies unexpectedly, and David is left stricken with grief but also sudden responsibility to take care of Amanda. So the first thing that I wanted to mention is that this has a unique approach to this type of story, contrasted with what you might expect. So it's not so much about the grief and suffering and the tragedy itself, but it's focused rather on the process of healing, of getting over it, of moving on with your life. And the different approaches to that process of healing after a tragedy, being with other people, which works for some, or isolating oneself and changing your surroundings, which works for other people. For David and Amanda, that healing comes mostly through their growing relationship. It's actually also shown to be growing on the screen as we're watching it. We don't immediately start with them both being very, very close. As I said, they have those quarrels and stuff that they need to work out. But the relationship gets there eventually, and it feels very earned when they start getting along better. I liked the way the film presented its surrounding, which is mostly Paris. The first act has this feeling of lightness, this fleeting light mood about it, that made me think of Call Me By Your Name. You see all those people enjoying their time, enjoying the places they're in, enjoying each other's company. And then after the tragedy happens, that is all contrasted with a much different scenery. But that scenery is almost always in the background of the story and in the background of the actual shots in the movie. It's not in our face. It's not in the foreground, because foreground is reserved for the characters, for the emotional consequences, not so much as the mechanical ones. The characters who are trying to return to normalcy, to live their lives as they once were, not so long ago, to try and move on from what happened. That sort of delicate approach and balance between the two things is what I really appreciated. I would also like to mention that there were three different female characters in the film that really struck me in how well they're played, especially, and also how well they're written. One is Amanda, the other two are Sandrine, the sister that dies, and Lena, the girlfriend. I was really awed by how different all of them were, and how well the actresses handled those differences and those characters, and through them really brought life to the film. So I liked it. I liked Amanda. I think for what it is attempting to be, which is a hopeful, fragile story about healing after a tragedy, it does a good job. Solid film.